Ambassador Kate Johnson adjusted her deep blue diplomatic robes as the massive doors to the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. The sound echoed through the vast hall, where representatives from 47 different species gathered under the crystalline dome of Nexus Prime. 300 years had passed since humanity first stumbled into this galactic community, and in all that time, they had built a reputation as the galaxy's most dedicated peacekeepers. The chamber itself was a marvel of alien engineering. Floating platforms hovered at different heights to accommodate species of varying sizes, from the tiny moth-like whisper folk to the massive rock creatures known as the Stone Speakers. Holographic displays showed real-time data from across the galaxy, trade routes, population centers, and the endless stream of diplomatic missions that kept thousands of worlds from tearing each other apart. Kate walked confidently across the polished floor, her soft-soled shoes making barely a sound. Behind her, Captain David Thompson of the Human Peace Fleet followed at a respectful distance. His uniform was a simple gray with medical symbols, marking him as one of humanity's rescue specialists. Every human ship in the galaxy bore similar markings: red crosses, medical equipment, and humanitarian supplies. General Vextar of the mighty Krillian Empire rose from his platform, his 8-foot frame casting a shadow over the smaller delegates. His species looked like walking tanks, with thick armor plating instead of skin and 4 powerful arms that could crush steel. The Krillians controlled the largest military force in known space, with battle cruisers that could reduce planets to ash. "Let me guess, Ambassador Johnson," Vextar's voice rumbled like distant thunder, "another human request for peaceful negotiations? Another plea to talk instead of fight?" His massive head tilted as he studied her with glowing red eyes. "Your species has been singing the same song for 3 centuries. Around the chamber, other delegates nodded in agreement. The blue-skinned Aquarians whispered among themselves with their melodic voices, while the tree-like botanics rustled their leaf-covered branches. Most species viewed humans as useful but ultimately weak creatures who had somehow survived first contact through pure luck and an endless willingness to compromise. Kate smiled patiently, the same expression humans had perfected over generations of galactic diplomacy. "Actually, General, I'm here to discuss updating our colony protection protocols. Some of our outer settlements have reported unusual readings." Captain Thompson shifted slightly in the corner, his hand unconsciously moving to check his communication device. His ship, the Mercy's Hand, waited in orbit above Nexus Prime. To any casual observer, it looked like exactly what it claimed to be, a hospital ship filled with medical supplies and rescue equipment. The smooth white hull bore no weapons, no military markings, just the universal symbol for medical aid. Prime Node, the tactical advisor for the Vorthan Collective, clicked its sharp mandibles together in what passed for laughter among its insectoid species. The creature's compound eyes gleamed with calculated intelligence as it studied the humans with barely concealed contempt. The Vorthans were the galaxy's master strategists, their hive mind allowing them to coordinate military operations across vast distances with perfect precision. "Colony protection?" Prime Node buzzed, its voice carrying the electronic undertone of the collective's neural link. "From what, Ambassador? Asteroid impacts? Solar flares? Your species contributes almost nothing to galactic defense. Perhaps it is time to accept a more realistic role in council affairs." Several other delegates murmured agreement. The Cyber Federation's robotic representative, Unit 7, processed the conversation through glowing optical sensors. Even the usually neutral stone speakers shifted their massive forms, causing their platforms to creak under the weight. Kate maintained her diplomatic composure, though something flickered briefly in her eyes, a flash of something harder than the usual human gentleness. "We've always believed in solving problems through discussion rather than destruction, Prime Node. It's served the galaxy well these past 3 centuries. Has it?" General Vextar leaned forward, his armor plates grinding together. "When the Void Reapers attacked the Spiral Arm colonies, where were your peace fleets? When the machine cult tried to convert organic life in the Beta Sector, did your diplomacy stop them? No, it was Krillian firepower and Vorthan tactics that saved those worlds." Captain Thompson watched the exchange carefully, his trained eye noting the positions of every delegate, every exit, every security measure in the massive chamber. His crew aboard the Mercy's Hand continued their routine medical drills, practicing procedures they hoped never to use. Like every human vessel in space, they maintained perfect readiness for humanitarian missions while their true capabilities remained hidden beneath layers of medical equipment and rescue gear. The truth was that humanity had made a choice long ago, to be the healers, the mediators, the ones who built bridges instead of bombs. They had seen what war could do to a species, having nearly destroyed themselves centuries earlier. When they finally reached the stars and encountered this vast galactic community, they chose to be different. But some choices, no matter how carefully made, could be unmade by circumstances beyond anyone's control. Kate Johnson smiled that patient diplomatic smile once more, unaware that in a few short hours, everything she had worked to build would be tested by forces that cared nothing for peace, diplomacy, or the carefully maintained balance of galactic civilization. The peaceful hum of diplomatic conversation died instantly as piercing emergency klaxons began wailing throughout the massive council chamber. Red warning lights bathed the crystalline dome in an ominous glow, and every delegate's communication device began buzzing with urgent alerts. Ambassador Kate Johnson felt her heart skip as the familiar sound of galactic emergency protocols filled the air. Admiral Zeth Cole of the Krillian Empire's massive form moved with surprising speed for such a large creature. His 4 arms worked frantically at the central holographic display, pulling up star charts and fleet positions across the galaxy. The peaceful atmosphere of moments before evaporated as military training took over. Incoming transmission from the Kepler sector announced the chamber's AI system in multiple languages. Priority Alpha. Council emergency protocols activated. The main display flickered to life, showing static and interference before a desperate human voice cut through the noise. Kate recognized the accent immediately. Outer colony, probably 3rd or 4th generation settlers who had never seen Earth. This is Colonel Ben Martinez, Ilari Colony Defense Force. Mayday. Mayday. The Devourers have breached our outer defensive grid. They're not just attacking, they're consuming everything in their path. Entire settlements are being stripped down to bare rock. The transmission crackled with interference, but the terror in the colonel's voice was unmistakable. In the background, Kate could hear the sound of weapons fire and the screaming of metal being torn apart. Warning sirens wailed in the distance. Our orbital platforms are gone. The automated defense satellites lasted maybe 10 minutes before they were absorbed into their ships. These things are like nothing in our databases. We need immediate military assistance. The civilians are. The transmission cut to dead static. The chamber fell into absolute silence, broken only by the soft hum of life support systems and the quiet clicking of Prime Node's mandibles as the Vorthan tactical advisor processed what they had just heard. Captain Thompson's face had gone pale. He knew the Ilari colonies well. His peace fleet had delivered medical supplies there just 6 months ago. Families with children, farmers trying to grow Earth crops on alien soil, scientists studying the unique crystalline formations that made those worlds so valuable. The mechanical devourers, Prime Node buzzed, its compound eyes glowing brighter as it accessed the collective's vast databases. We theorized they were extinct. Ancient records suggest they consumed the predecessor civilization in the galactic core approximately 50,000 years ago. General Vextar's armor plates shifted and locked into battle configuration with metallic clicks. If they've returned, this is a threat to all organic life in the galaxy. His voice carried none of its previous arrogance. This was the sound of a professional soldier recognizing a genuine crisis. Ready our war fleets, Admiral Zeth Cole commanded, his massive fists slamming down on the control console. Deploy the 7th Battle Group immediately. The Krillian Empire will handle this threat. Within minutes, the chamber became a hive of military activity. Holographic displays showed mighty Krillian dreadnoughts powering up their engines and launching from orbital shipyards. Each ship was the size of a small city, bristling with plasma cannons and particle beam weapons. The Vorthans deployed their tactical swarms, thousands of smaller vessels that moved like schools of mechanical fish, their coordination perfect through the hive-mind link. Kate watched the massive fleet deployments with growing unease. Something about Colonel Martinez's transmission bothered her, though she couldn't quite place what it was. She pulled out her personal data pad and began reviewing the signal analysis, her diplomatic training and communication protocols kicking in. The hours that followed were tense. Regular updates came from the advancing fleets as they made their way toward the Kepler sector at maximum speed. The Krillian ships could cross half the galaxy in a matter of hours using their massive hyperspace engines, while the Vorthan swarms moved like a living cloud of metal through space. Then the reports began coming in. Brief, terrible, and final. Krillian 7th Battle Group, contact lost. Vorthan tactical swarm, no response to communications. Long-range sensors show debris fields where our fleets should be. Kate's blood ran cold as she stared at her data pad. The signal analysis was complete, and what she saw there made her hands shake. Hidden beneath the panic and static of Colonel Martinez's transmission was something that shouldn't have been there, an encryption signature. Not just any encryption, but an old Earth military protocol that hadn't been used in over 200 years. The mighty Krillian fleet, pride of the galactic military, completely annihilated. The tactical genius of the Vorthan Collective, with their perfect coordination and strategic planning, consumed without a trace. Every major military force sent to stop the Devourers had been destroyed so quickly that they barely had time to send a final transmission. Kate Johnson stood slowly, her diplomatic composure finally cracking after decades of perfect control. Around the chamber, the surviving delegates watched in shock as reports continued to flood in. Entire star systems were going dark, their communications cutting out one by one as something vast and hungry moved through space. "I need immediate quantum communication with Earth," Kate announced, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. The surviving council members turned to stare at her. Prime Node's optical sensors focused on her face, and for the first time in centuries of diplomatic contact, the creature seemed genuinely puzzled by human behavior. Kate activated her emergency communicator, speaking words that had been memorized but never used, words that held meanings no alien could understand. "This is Ambassador Johnson. Authorization code Omega-7. Condition Black confirmed. The compact is broken." Her gentle diplomatic expression had transformed into something cold and calculating that no alien representative had ever seen on a human face before. In that moment, every creature in the chamber realized they had never truly known humanity at all. The quantum communication array in the council chamber hummed to life faster than anyone had ever seen it operate. Usually, establishing contact with Earth took several minutes as signals bounced through relay stations across the galaxy. This time, the connection was instant and crystal clear, as if someone on Earth had been waiting for this exact call. The holographic display flickered, and suddenly the chamber was filled with the imposing presence of a man who looked nothing like the gentle humans the galaxy knew. Admiral Jack Morrison appeared before them, his uniform a deep black with silver insignias that seemed to shift and gleam in the chamber's lighting. No alien had ever seen these symbols before, geometric patterns that somehow suggested both advanced technology and ancient authority. His face was carved from stone, weathered and hard in a way that spoke of decades spent making impossible decisions. This wasn't the soft expression of a diplomat or the caring look of a medical officer. This was the face of someone who had seen the true darkness between the stars and had prepared for it. "This is Admiral Morrison, Earth Defense Command." His voice cut through the chamber like a blade, carrying an authority that made even General Vextar straighten unconsciously. "We have confirmed Omega-7 authorization. All sleeper protocols are now active across every human settlement in known space." Prime Node's compound eyes flickered with confusion. "Earth Defense Command? Our databases show no such organization." Admiral Morrison's smile was razor-thin. That was rather the point. Across the galaxy, impossible things began to happen. On Earth itself, the Pacific Ocean suddenly began to drain in massive whirlpools as hidden structures rose from the deepest trenches. What had appeared to be natural underwater mountain ranges revealed themselves as colossal shipyards, their surfaces gleaming with technologies that shouldn't have existed. The Himalayan mountains, those ancient peaks that humans claimed as sacred sites, began to unfold like enormous metal flowers. Weapon arrays the size of cities emerged from inside solid rock, their barrels pointing toward the stars. Similar transformations occurred across Earth's surface. The Amazon rainforest split apart to reveal manufacturing facilities, the Arctic ice shelves slid away to expose launch platforms that stretched beyond the horizon. But Earth was just the beginning. On hundreds of human colony worlds, the carefully maintained nature preserves that had puzzled alien visitors for centuries began their own transformations. What the galaxy had assumed were simple wildlife refuges revealed their true purpose as defensive installations activated in perfect synchronization. Captain David Thompson felt his ship, the Mercy's hand, shudder around him as hidden systems came online. The medical frigate's smooth white hull began to shift and reconfigure, plates sliding apart with mechanical precision to reveal weapon systems that dwarfed anything in the galactic databases. Particle cannons emerged from what had appeared to be supply bays, shield generators rose from medical laboratories, and the ship's engines suddenly blazed with power that could drive it across the galaxy in hours rather than days. His crew moved with fluid precision around the transforming vessel, their movements betraying training that went far deeper than medical procedures. Nurse Betty Collins was suddenly operating tactical displays with expert skill, while Dr. Tom Bradley began coordinating with other human ships through communication channels that hadn't existed moments before. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Lisa Park from what had been the medical scanner station, now revealed as a military-grade sensor array, all human vessels are reporting full combat readiness. The sleeper protocols are functioning perfectly. Around the galaxy, similar scenes played out on every human ship, station, and settlement. The peaceful medical vessels that had been carrying supplies and aid workers suddenly sprouted weapons that made alien dreadnoughts look like toys. Research stations revealed themselves as listening posts with sensor capabilities that could monitor entire star systems. Even the smallest human freighters transformed into escort fighters that moved through space with deadly grace. Admiral Morrison's image dominated the council chamber as alien delegates watched in stunned silence. You see, honored council members, humanity made a choice long ago. We would be your peacemakers, your mediators, your gentle shepherds. We would heal your wounded and feed your hungry. We would stand between fighting species and broker peace through endless patience and diplomacy. Kate Johnson stepped forward, and the aliens gasped at the transformation. Gone was the soft-spoken ambassador they had known for years. In her place stood someone harder, more dangerous, with eyes that held depths of knowledge and capability that no alien had ever suspected. We chose peace not from weakness, Kate continued, her voice carrying new authority, but from strength. We knew exactly what we were capable of, and we chose to be better. We chose to show you only our gentlest side because we hoped it would be enough. The robotic representative Unit 7 processed frantically, its optical sensors struggling to update its databases with this new reality. Our calculations indicate human military capabilities were minimal. This data does not compute. Admiral Morrison's laugh was without humor. Your calculations were based on what we allowed you to see. Every human you've met, every ship you've scanned, every colony you've visited, all of it was designed to present exactly the image we wanted you to have. General Vextar's armor plates rattled as he struggled to comprehend the implications. But why? Why hide such power? Kate's expression softened slightly, showing a glimpse of the diplomat they remembered. Because we'd been where you are now, General. We'd fought wars that nearly destroyed us. We'd built weapons that could crack planets and fleets that could burn solar systems. And we learned that true strength isn't the ability to destroy, it's the wisdom to choose not to. Admiral Morrison's image flickered as massive energy readings appeared on every sensor in the chamber. The Devourers have made that choice irrelevant. They've forced us to become what we hoped never to be again. The final words hung in the air like a death sentence. The war fleet launches in 6 hours. And when it does, the galaxy will understand why humanity chose peace. Outside the chamber's viewports, human ships were already gathering, their transformed hulls gleaming with purpose as the sleeping giants of Earth finally awakened from their centuries-long slumber. The human armada that emerged from hidden jump points across the galaxy was a sight that redefined what every species thought they knew about space warfare. Massive dreadnoughts materialized from hyperspace, their hulls made from materials that seemed to bend light around them, creating an unsettling shimmer that hurt to look at directly. These weren't the clean white medical ships the galaxy had grown accustomed to. These were predators designed for one purpose. Admiral Jack Morrison commanded from the bridge of the flagship Divine Retribution, a vessel so enormous that it generated its own gravitational field, causing smaller debris to orbit around it like tiny moons. The ship stretched for over 15 kilometers, its surface bristling with weapon systems that hummed with barely contained energy. Standing beside him, General Rachel Stone studied tactical displays that showed a level of military planning suggesting centuries of careful preparation. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up the Kepler sector, reported Colonel Mike Foster from the fighter command station. His voice remained steady despite what the readings showed. Enemy contacts numbering in the millions. They've completely consumed the Ilari colonies and are moving toward the inner systems. Through the massive viewport, the horrific scale of the Devourer invasion became clear. What had once been 3 thriving star systems was now a writhing mass of mechanical horror. The Devourers had stripped entire planets down to their cores, using the raw materials to build more of themselves. Their ships, if they could be called ships, were grotesque combinations of consumed vessels welded together with organic-looking metal that pulsed like living tissue. The largest Devourer constructs were the size of moons, their surfaces crawling with smaller units that moved like metallic insects. They had consumed the light of whole suns, surrounding stars with massive collectors that fed their endless hunger for energy and matter. The sight was enough to drive most organic minds to madness, a cancerous growth spreading across the galaxy, consuming everything in its path. General Stone's tactical displays showed enemy formations that defied conventional understanding. They're not using standard fleet tactics, Admiral. It's more like watching a virus spread. They consume, adapt, and multiply using whatever they find. Admiral Morrison nodded grimly. Then we'll show them what happens when a virus meets an immune system that's had 3 centuries to prepare. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. All units, this is Admiral Morrison. Launch all fighters. Activate gravity lance arrays. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity chose peace. The launch bays of the Divine Retribution opened like the mouth of some enormous creature, releasing thousands of fighters that moved through space with fluid grace. These weren't simple piloted craft, each fighter was a perfect fusion of human consciousness and advanced AI, their pilots connected to their ships through neural interfaces that made them extensions of each other. Captain Lisa Park sat in the cockpit of her fighter Steel Phoenix, feeling the ship's systems merge with her thoughts. Her reflexes were enhanced by combat stimulants, her reaction time boosted to superhuman levels. Around her, hundreds of other pilots experienced the same transformation, becoming something more than human as they prepared to face the cosmic horror ahead. Phoenix Squadron, form up on me, Lisa commanded, her fighter dancing through space with impossible agility. The human fighters moved like a school of predatory fish, their coordination perfect despite having no visible communication between them. They had trained for this moment their entire lives, even if they had hoped it would never come. The gravity lance arrays on the capital ships began to charge, their massive focusing crystals glowing with contained power. These weapons didn't fire simple energy beams, they fired controlled gravitational forces that could tear matter apart at the molecular level. The technology was so advanced that even human scientists didn't fully understand how it worked, only that it did. Gravity lances charged and ready, reported Weapons Officer Tom Richards from the Divine Retribution's command deck. Targeting the largest Devourer constructs. Fire, Admiral Morrison commanded. The lances fired invisible bolts of pure gravitational force that warped spacetime itself. Where they struck the Devourer ships, reality seemed to fold in on itself. The mechanical horrors that had consumed entire fleets didn't just explode, they collapsed, their atomic structure unraveling as fundamental forces turned against them. But the true terror wasn't the overwhelming firepower, it was the tactical brilliance behind it. Humanity fought like they had been studying war as a science for millennia, which they had. Every movement was calculated, every attack coordinated with precision that suggested vast intelligence networks operating behind the scenes. The human fighters didn't just attack, they analyzed. Each pilot's neural interface was connected to a vast tactical network that learned from every encounter, adapting strategies in real time. When Devourers tried to adapt to human weapons, the humans had already moved on to different tactics. Colonel Foster watched the battle displays with professional admiration. "Sir, our fighters are reporting something unusual. The Devourers are trying to consume our ships, but our hull materials are resisting assimilation." General Stone smiled coldly. "Self-destructing nanotechnology built into every hull plate. The moment they try to consume our ships, the materials turn toxic to their systems." The battle raged across multiple star systems, but it wasn't the chaotic free-for-all that alien military doctrine would have predicted. Human forces moved with surgical precision, cutting through Devourer formations like a scalpel through diseased tissue. They didn't just fight to win, they fought to completely eliminate the threat. Within 72 hours, the Devourer menace that had consumed the galaxy's greatest military forces was completely eliminated. The mechanical horrors that had devoured countless civilizations across the void were nothing but drifting debris, their hive-mind consciousness scattered and destroyed. As the last Devourer construct collapsed under gravitational assault, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the clean star systems. The sleeping giants of humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never experienced such profound silence. The crystalline dome that had once echoed with heated debates and diplomatic discussions now felt like a tomb, filled only with the soft hum of life support systems and the barely audible breathing of traumatized alien delegates. The few surviving representatives sat in stunned silence, their various forms of communication reduced to nervous twitches and involuntary sounds of distress. Admiral Jack Morrison's holographic form dominated the center of the chamber, his image transmitted from the bridge of the Divine Retribution as it maintained position in the cleaned Kepler sector. His uniform, that strange black and silver that no alien had seen before, seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "The Devourer threat has been completely neutralized," he reported with the same tone he might use to discuss weather patterns. "All hostile constructs have been eliminated down to the molecular level. Our deep space sensors show no remaining traces of their consciousness network." Behind him, the view screen showed the aftermath of the battle. Where once 3 star systems had been consumed by mechanical horror, now there was only empty space dotted with human ships conducting systematic cleanup operations. Specialized vessels were already beginning the process of stellar rehabilitation, their advanced technology preparing to restart the natural processes that would eventually allow life to return to these worlds. Human defense perimeters are now being established around all vulnerable worlds across the galaxy, Admiral Morrison continued. Ambassador Johnson will coordinate with your respective governments regarding the implementation of new security protocols. Kate Johnson stepped forward, and every alien in the chamber noticed the transformation immediately. She still carried herself with diplomatic grace, but now wore a uniform that blended the peaceful blue of human diplomacy with the practical gray of military efficiency. Her bearing had changed from that of a gentle mediator to something far more formidable, a protector who would negotiate when possible but act decisively when necessary. The galaxy will never again face an existential threat unprepared, Kate announced, her voice carrying a promise that somehow felt both comforting and terrifying. Humanity will ensure this, whether through diplomacy or through other means. Prime Node, one of the few surviving members of the Vorthan Collective, clicked its mandibles nervously. The creature's compound eyes dimmed and brightened rapidly, a sign of extreme stress among its species. You were never what you appeared to be. 3 centuries of deception. Kate's expression softened slightly, showing glimpses of the diplomat they remembered. We were exactly what we appeared to be, Prime Node. Peacemakers, diplomats, healers, builders of bridges between species. But we were also always something more. We chose to show you only one side because we genuinely hoped it would be enough. General Vextar, the mighty Krillian warrior whose armor had once seemed so intimidating, now looked small and vulnerable in his floating platform. His 4 arms trembled slightly as he processed the implications of what he had witnessed. Your medical ships, your aid workers, the refugee camps. All real, Kate assured him. Every human who helped your people, who healed your wounded, who fed your hungry, they were genuine in their desire to help. We simply didn't tell you about our other capabilities. Admiral Morrison's image flickered as he accessed tactical displays. Peace is only possible when those who love it most are prepared to fight for it. Humanity learned this lesson during our own dark centuries before we reached the stars. We nearly destroyed ourselves through endless warfare until we finally understood that true strength lies in choosing restraint. Unit 7, the robotic representative of the Cyber Federation, processed frantically as its optical sensors focused on the humans. Our databases require complete reconstruction. All previous assessments of human capabilities were apparently insufficient. That was rather the point, Admiral Morrison replied. When we first encountered galactic civilization, we made a conscious choice to be the species that others could trust. We became the healers, the mediators, the ones who built rather than destroyed. General Vextar's voice was barely a whisper. And you gave us 3 centuries of unprecedented peace. More prosperity and cooperation than our species had ever known. Kate smiled, and for a moment she looked like the gentle ambassador they remembered. And we'll give you 3 centuries more, General? But now the galaxy knows the true price of that peace. The sleeping giants are awake and we will never sleep again. Across the galaxy, the transformation was already beginning. Human fleets that had been disguised as medical and supply convoys revealed their true capabilities as they took up protective positions around every inhabited world. The Aquarian homeworld found itself under the watchful protection of human battle cruisers. The Stone Speaker colonies discovered human defense platforms materializing in their outer systems. Even the most remote settlements received visits from human vessels offering both aid and protection. Captain David Thompson, now commanding what had been the medical ship Mercy's Hand but was revealed as the heavy cruiser Guardian's Shield, established patrol routes around vulnerable colonies. His crew, trained for decades in both medical procedures and military operations, seamlessly transitioned between healing the survivors of Devourer attacks and maintaining the advanced weapon systems that would prevent such tragedies from ever happening again. In the depths of space, where no organic eye could see, massive automated defense stations came online for the first time in centuries. These installations, hidden in asteroid fields and dark matter clouds, began their eternal vigil. Their sensors could detect threats across entire star systems, their weapons could reach across impossible distances, and their artificial intelligences had been programmed with one simple directive: protect the peace that humanity had sworn to preserve. The age of naive peace, where species could assume they were safe simply because they had always been safe, was over. The age of protected peace had begun, watched over by guardians who had chosen gentleness but possessed the power to enforce it when gentleness was not enough. As the council session ended and alien delegates began making their way home to share the impossible news with their governments, one truth echoed through every mind present: the galaxy would indeed be safe, because humanity would see to it, and they had just proven exactly what that promise meant. The ND.